The great feminization of society is complete, so everybody's happy now, right? Wrong.
So that's agenda item number 1. Get rid of all the HR ladies. Who's with me?
In October, Helen Andrews published an essay which said that the feminization of society has, in fact, discriminated against men and propped up women in such a fashion that we've become imbalanced toward the feminine. And if you can get behind the rebalancing of society, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into exactly what she said. And is she right that the feminization of society could be its downfall?
And right there, between the fall of communism and the invention of the internet, was something called the Great Feminization. That is not a phrase that a lot of Americans know, but future historians may well rank it as having greater importance than almost any other revolution on that list. The Great Feminization is very easy to define. It refers to the increasing representation of women in all of the institutions of our society.
So this is an unprecedented experiment that may actually end in ways that we can't imagine, and that is the psychology of the situation, is what actually happens when we have a society that's driven more towards safety and less toward risk-taking over time.
As it is to define, it's very difficult for those of us on the other side of that revolution to fully grasp its significance. The first thing that most people fail to understand about it is how unprecedented it is in human history.
So women in large part have taken over the political in more ways than ever before, the HR departments in more ways than ever before, the leadership of major companies in more ways than have ever before. And the experiment is on, and let's see, what does Helen have to say about how she believes that will go?
We may get more feminized still. Look at the example of the profession of psychology. As recently as 25 years ago, psychology was a predominantly male profession, up to 70% male. Today, the youngest cohort of psychologists just joining the profession, 20% male. Men have evacuated the profession of psychology.
I know something personally about the profession of psychology, as I've been a therapist for more than a decade, and I'm in my master's on my way to my PsyD in psychology, and I can say without question that the move toward affirmation culture and the boundary-ridden culture, the boundary-heavy culture, the protect yourself at all costs culture has been one of the consequences of the feminization of my industry. And while that may work for female clients, that has largely dissuaded men from entering into therapy because all they're going to get are feminine suggestions, feminine solutions to masculine problems. And no wonder only 13% of men ever complete a course of treatment in therapy.
As women increased their representation in the profession, they reoriented the field to be more friendly to their ideas and preferences, to be about caring and empathy and non-judgmentalism. So a man who wanted to become a psychologist because he liked judging other people would naturally choose a different profession.
The fact is, as a psychologist, I do like judging other people, but I actually like more so helping them find solutions. And quite frankly, a lot of people don't seek therapy for that purpose anymore. They seek therapy to have a paid friend, someone who they can talk to persistently and will affirm them, who is confidential. And that is, quite frankly, a very feminine way to view the industry.
And cohesion over competition and hierarchy, all of these things are privileging the feminine over the masculine. So if you have ever wondered why wokeness appeared out of nowhere when it did, that is my hypothesis, that all of the institutions that began admitting women in the 1970s eventually got enough women that they were able to reorient them.
Helen believes that the root and cause of wokeness in general has been the feminization of society, and you can see as they take over journalistic endeavors, as they take over places that are the publishers and places that disseminate information, this could easily be a natural softening of the social cohesion, the desire to maintain social cohesion above all else, instead of asserting ourselves against the ideas that are being pressed forward in the narratives of these publishers, of these channels, of these journalistic entities, and therefore we have simply collapsed the male out of the realm of the published, and therefore they went to YouTube and other outlets in order to try to continue the discourse and the running up of ideas against each other in ways that weren't being controlled and hammered down by the culture of elitists that were at least 50, maybe up to 80% feminized feminists at
It's funny,
this point.
HR departments are always so careful about making sure the atmosphere at the workplace is welcoming to women. I wonder if they ever considered that maybe their soggy, conflict-averse, nicey-nice atmosphere might not be welcoming to men.
So she proposes that it's time to get rid of all the HR ladies. And I can say in the therapy industry, I have been bounced and left employers over and over and over because of the HRification of these institutions. And they're quite frankly not willing to speak hard truths because they have a full-time job based on trying to limit people's free speech, trying to limit truth and hard ideas from being reckoned with in a workplace environment. And that is something that AI will probably take away. The furthering of our culture of security culture, where we have cameras everywhere, microphones everywhere, that will probably take some of those HR jobs away, but it won't be better if we defer that to technology, because in fact we'll be monitored more closely with more rigor and with more competence. And so we need to change our values and ideals to take away this HRification of society, especially in a place like a therapeutic setting where that's a necessary evil if you're going to help people reckon with these deep and complex problems.
For their families to attain a middle-class standard of living. If we address that through various other policies to make it possible for families that want to have one earner to do so, I think the problem of feminization will subside on its own as individuals make different choices based on what's best for their own families. That's just my prediction. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's get rid of the two-income trap and give people the choice, and then we'll see what happens.
I love that she suggests that having one income would be a solution so that mothers can be in the home if they choose to. And in fact, the Feminist Project in the beginning, many of the leaders stated that if you gave women a choice, they would stay at home. So we need to formulate the economy in such a way that they would not have a choice any longer, and they would need to go into the workplace and look at the results. How are we doing?
So if society becomes more conformist and less welcoming to ideas that are controversial or unpopular, I'm also going to have a hard time of it. The important thing to remember is that it's not about what's best for me personally. It's about what's best for the society I live in and the society my children are going to grow up in. So my final exhortation to all of you is that we should all consider this difficult topic unselfishly, not from the perspective of what's to our individual advantage, but from the perspective of what's best for all of us. Thank you.
In short, if you can get behind a rewiring and an equitable balance of power between men and women back in the workplace, in higher education, in difficult places to work like journalism or other business leadership, and that we can go back to a merit-based society. If you can support that at all, I would love to have your help. Let's remake the balance so that the great feminization does not become the great downfall of our society.